Hi, and welcome to You Amaze Me recording with myself, Amanda Baker, intuitive human being and therapist, poet, yoga instructor, all the things. Welcome to this sacred space where soul meets story and story meets soul. I'm here with you speaking from stream of consciousness, offering insights and wisdom and all of the magic and creativity to fully support myself and you, myself as your mirror, and you in unlocking all of your talents and gifts and magical abilities to live your most fulfilling life. And so take these recordings as entertainment and fun and joy and darkness and full human expression, and also take in whatever experience you get that I truly believe is serving you in the moment to fully embrace your humanness and your mental health care. I have been dedicated to disrupting the way that mental health is provided or therapy is provided. And that has been a 7-month experience really so far. I mean, I could say that I have kind of stripped the veil as being a therapist because I was potentially performing therapy. I use that word. Really, it was the conditioning. It was the conditioning. Conditioning is its own form of trauma because it takes away from your authentic self, while also perhaps a requirement in order to live in this earthly form, in order to live in this physical society. We need coping. And so I'm not discounting that. While I also truly believe that when we acknowledge and are aware of those coping mechanisms, that we can utilize our consciousness to come out of it and enhance your tolerance to be with discomfort. So what's going to come through? I don't even know. I had the AMAZE group meeting earlier today. So AMAZE is a community that I created that is mostly my clients, yoga students, friends, therapists, coworkers is a part of this group and community and connection, soul connection and friendship. If you want to be a part of it, check out the links in the show notes or in any comments and descriptions wherever I put this, because this group is truly magical. And the experiences that we have, I believe, are really unexplainable. Like, we can't make this up. I mean, you could, but my imagination wouldn't make this up. I just live through these experiences and then share these stories because they will unlock something in at least one other person. And so today we met here at this space where I partly live and work, and it's just beautiful on this farm. And more I'm reminded how secret and magical this land is, and I can't wait to find out more about it. There is a book somewhere that talks about this farm, Hillside Farm in Baltimore, Maryland. I've been seeing deer, and deer has been a sign for me these past several months, and it kind of changes. I had the lion. The lion was a symbol that really opened me up to my own inner strength and courage. And it's funny because when I first came more in connection with the lion, it was initially about this other person. I felt like this other person was representative of courage and inner strength, which was acting as a mirror to me, that I saw them as like my lion for the months that we had connection. And then it was like, no, I'm the lion too. This lion exists in me that is my own inner strength and courage. And then now it's been deer, and deer is more that feminine energy, that nurturance, that kind of like wild, untamed energy. And I've been seeing deer a lot, and especially where I live and work, because there's this family of deer that I saw earlier, and I took a picture. It's not the best picture, so I won't show it on the video, but it's these 2 adult deer and then the 2 babies, and they just have kind of been traveling together, and I see them when I walk and when I drive, and it's just a reminder of my own feminine essence and the balance between the masculine and the feminine that exists within all of us. And I think a lot of us struggle with the unhealthy masculine and feminine that can lead to the coping mechanisms in attempts to control, in attempts to counteract our beliefs that we are unworthy unless we're earning or performing or striving and achieving, and that we need to control in order to feel safe. And safety is something that exists within you, within your nervous system, that I am really devoted to providing for myself and the people that I work with. I am on this journey just as much as anybody else is who comes to work. I don't even like the word work with me, but spend time with me as a client or as a part of the Alchemize group. And really, Alchemize is about turning your dark into magic. It's not about turning your dark into light. And I may have even said that before. And now I really have come to experience and know that your dark is so powerful and really is of value when you channel it into magic and authentic power. And what is authentic power? Your authentic power is the power that comes when you are living authentically. And sometimes we believe that we're living authentically. Like, we will associate traits within ourselves and within our personality and our identity and say, well, that's just me being authentic. I'm a people pleaser and that's me being authentic. Or I tend to overplan and organize and control and that's me being authentic. And in a way, that's you being present in the moment, though that's a coping pattern. That is a learned condition pattern that is there to keep you safe while also indicative of where you're not living authentically, because living authentically is being present in the moment without control. So right now, yes, I had to organize this. I needed to set up the laptop and hit record, and I needed to do those things. But am I coming from a place of like fear that it's not going to work? And I've had that before. I've been on here and the camera went out like two recordings ago, or I've been here before where all of a sudden it disconnected. And so I could fear like, oh no, this might stop midway and that would be disappointing. Sure. And also, I can just go with the flow. I wanted to start this an hour ago, and instead, I started doing a poem on Canva and uploading something else, and then waiting for that to upload before I hit record. That is living presently. And honestly, for myself, it's easier for me to live presently when I'm alone, when I'm by myself. And it's once we once we are interacting with the world and with people, that's where we might get activated and that fear might come in. And that fear is associated with maybe something feeling unsafe because we're perceiving or projecting or predicting that something bad is going to happen. So many stories and so much wisdom for this week that as it happens to me, I want to share it. I want to share it because it surprises and excites me. And through this listening, through this exchange, there will be like these nuggets and these gems of information that you might take with you. And it might help you feel more empowered or connect more, gain more access to your authentic power. And so that's what we do in Alchemize. That was our meeting today on the stages of consciousness and authentic power. We did an incredibly cool meditation. I'll share it because it was on YouTube. How I stumbled upon it, I don't even know. It related to the stages of consciousness, being present in the moment really makes you think. And like, I love depth and this deep work. And so if you are interested, you can check out the meditation. You can also check out the group because maybe you want to be a part of this with us. We record it. It's on Zoom. You can watch it later. If you're local, you can attend stuff with us. And it's my devotion. And I still can't even believe that I created this. And I need to believe it because it is through that belief and connection with myself as I speak this out loud now that even more magical, amazing things are going to happen. And I'm not saying that I don't experience like immense anxiety and pain and grief and disappointment. So one of the insights from this week, a lot comes with working with my clients. And the insight that came was the realization for this particular client that they don't allow themselves, or they learned that they cannot or will not allow themselves to feel disappointment. And that came from their early childhood conditioning, that when they were disappointed, their parents would dismiss or rationalize or try to make it better than it is, instead of being with the feeling and having to support or having the child feel the disappointment and support them with their disappointment through presence, through breath and slowing down and validation and empathy without fixing, right? So often we believe, oh, I have empathy for you, so I'm going to reassure you. That's not empathy. I'm It's like, what's that word? It's rescue. It's, oh, I can feel what they're feeling and I don't like it. So I'm going to rescue them. So I'm also not reminded of it. And when I say rescue, it's take that person out of their feeling. And I do this a lot. And I've worked with clients where I've done it too, because I believed that it was genuine empathy. I'm feeling genuine empathy if they're describing something that's sad or upsetting or a grief or disappointment. And then if I add in a silver lining, or I add in a lesson, if I add in the way to make them feel better. And I say this so much, it's not about feeling better. It's about being better at feeling. So if we're making somebody feel better, or we're offering, because we can't make anyone feel anything. But if we're attempting to offer something that leads them to feel better, because we're uncomfortable, because we're empathizing and feeling that loss, that sadness, that disappointment, that grief too. Now we're rescuing. We're saying this feeling's too intolerable, too uncomfortable, too unpleasant. Don't feel it. Feel this goodness instead. Look at the silver lining. Look at the message. Look at the lesson. Yes, the lesson and the message will come, but in the moment, it's the feeling. So if you're disappointed, empathy with yourself or with another in that disappointment is being there, period. Oh, you're disappointed right now? Like, I get that. That is disappointing, period. And that is so hard. It is so hard. We want to put like the semicolon or the dot, dot, dot of, when someone passes away and we say like, well, they're probably in a better place. They're no longer suffering anymore. Or at least they lived a long life. Like, what the F? Like, you lost someone and that person's not here. That is devastating. And what else do we do with that? It's not just the words and the language. It's, oh, well, let's go out and have a fun time. I'll take you out to eat. Such a nice gesture. Such a nice gesture. Yes, and, right? It's the and that both things can exist. Let's go get some comfort food, or let's go to this fun event, and I'm here with you and I get what that feels like, or I don't get what that feels like and I have no words. Because when it comes to grief and loss, there's just like, there's no words. And then what else? What else do? We drink, we shop, we consume, we scroll, we watch all the videos, and those are there. Sometimes it's so hard to be in that pain, and I get it. And I get it. And I'm so appreciative of the survival mechanisms. Again, that's survival mode, that's coping. What is authentic power? Authentic power is, I'm feeling grief and loss and disappointment, and it's agonizing. Feeling grief and loss and disappointment, and it's agonizing, period. And when you do that from observations, when you do that from a place of presence with yourself, when you do that and like you make a pose on the floor because your body can handle it. Your body is so miraculous. There's all these tiny little cells and all that's going on to keep you alive. So if you get on the floor and you spread out in 5-pointed star, or on the grass, under the clouds, and you recognize your aliveness and perhaps a belief in something greater than you that's there with you, if you're feeling alone in that. That's what's so difficult, is feeling alone in that, especially because as a kid, if that adult, that caregiver, that caretaker wasn't able because of their own stuff, not to blame or shame, but just was not available because they're running around hustling, they're working all the time, they're in their grief too, they're in their survival mechanisms too, they couldn't do it. And we can be so mad about that. And that's how working with this teen was. Like, the teen was so mad at their parents, and understandable. That's a part of the process, because they would dismiss and discount and led this teen to believe, I'm not allowed to feel disappointed. My disappointment's a problem. So now, because that comes to live in them, They do everything they can to not be disappointed. And in their attempts to control, by being a perfectionist, by getting all good grades, by being the good boy or girl, doing all the things to strive and to perform and to achieve, that's not authentic power. That's survival force. And so now the part of our therapy is sometimes exposure, like be disappointed on purpose. And this is so hard. This is so hard. And I work with parents at this too, where they want their kid to get straight A's because they view their child as a representation of them. And their kid then needs to perform because that means that they're a good parent. And all this stuff fascinates me because I look at myself too and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm performing therapist sometimes because I'm doing all of the right things. And why aren't people getting better? I can laugh about it now. I can. It's not always funny though. Sometimes it's like really a lot of burnout. So I tell the parents just as much as I tell the teen, like, don't turn in your homework, get a zero, see what that feels like. Can you handle that feeling of disappointment or failure? Practice. Because if it's not coming up in the moment where you can't go back and bring it up, then you need new experiences to practice. And my belief with co-creation, as you're enhancing your tolerance and as you're practicing new patterns and new pathways in your brain and in your system, you're going to recognize it more. I was away overnight, went to Philadelphia, went to the My Chemical Romance concert. So much fun. Like this year of connecting back to what I love and what I love, just what I love. What is me is like this music and going to concerts, going to amusement parks, doing new things that I'm like in awe that I'm doing. So I went to the My Chemical Romance concert, things that came about for me. This is where this is the story and soul. I realized how much I could control because I didn't want to miss any of the concert and had to drive to Philly. There could be traffic, had to check into a hotel, had to find the hotel, all these things where I'm like mentally planning. And now I'm so aware, mentally planning each thing in hopes of everything going according to plan so that I get there on time, so that I have a good time. That's how much I care about myself, which is like, I hope the same for you. And also, it's like, where's the trust? Where's the living in the moment? Where is the joy in the drive? Where is the trusting that I'm worthy of it happening for me without me having to control it? So being aware and recognizing, and then also intervening at times. I'm still going to do a lot of this from the conditioning, and it gets better and better and better with the spiral. That's what that spiral is. Of like, I'm going to repeat patterns. This is still in my conditioning, and then I'm going to get a little bit better. So in speaking of like disappointment and working through that disappointment is for myself in the same way for this client. Like I said, if there's not an actual present experience where that disappointment is coming, maybe you make it happen on purpose. Or maybe you start to experience present things to work through that. Or maybe you go back in the past and have to dig up that feeling and let yourself feel it. We have to start because this client was so in their head. We had to start there of like, we're going to be aware of the thought first because being in the body is so uncomfortable that your protective mechanisms may not even allow that. Whereas for me, I had this minor disappointment of forgetting water. Forgot to fill up my water, and I was so disappointed. It's like, I really need water. And I was also disappointed in myself for not remembering because I told myself, remember to fill up your water bottle with water before you go, before you leave. And so I didn't have to. I decided to sit with it because I am giving myself permission to be disappointed. I am allowed to be disappointed and it doesn't bother people. Or if it does bother people, if other people just want me to feel better so they feel better, or want me to feel better because they genuinely care, I get that. But the caring is like, no, be here with me. be here with me in this feeling. You don't have to take on the feeling. It's not your responsibility. You don't even have to feel the same feeling, but that compassion of you're feeling disappointed now. And sometimes it's someone else who disappointed you. Sometimes somebody else was the reason that you're disappointed, and that doesn't make them bad. And that doesn't mean that they can't still be in your life or be around you. It's like that fear of hurting people. We are going to hurt people. And I've said that before. So that disappointment lasted a long time for me about the water, because there is old disappointment still in me. That old disappointment like kind of rose to the surface of like, here's old disappointment that's just hiding in the corners or locked in a box that now you're able to feel. Now you're able to embrace. Now you're able to recognize the wisdom of this feeling, because sometimes disappointment, like I said, is associated with grief, is associated with loss. So, importance of feeling your emotions safe. Beautiful. All right. Next story that I want to share. So, that's the wisdom on disappointment and the importance of feeling it. And by feeling it, then you have more authentic power, right? The authentic power to co-create your life and live out what it is that you deeply desire and long for. And maybe that longing and desire is to impact the world in some way, is to have more fun experiences, is to spread and shine love, it's a service. It's serving something greater than you, beyond just your self-actualization. It is this what I can't describe it, because I just feel it. I feel called beyond myself to share these things, and trust that in doing that, I act as a mirror that supports people and might trigger people, and shows people through experience being present and being true to yourself. And as I said, just to like reel it back in, being true to yourself is not your pattern, is not your learned conditioning. It might be true in that moment of all that you might have access to, or the consciousness that you have in that moment. And so it makes sense when people are like, I'm just being authentic. It's a part of you. I had a supervisor say to me, Amanda, I don't know like what is authentic, because sometimes you're super light and pleasing and agreeable. That's my people pleasing nature. That's a part of me. And other times you are, I mean, in that time I was like very irritable and agitated and in a state of burnout and mad at the system of where I was working. And they were confused of like, well, what's authentic? And probably in those moments, neither of those things were authentic, because I was people pleasing so much that then I had the signals of the burnout. I can understand that now, but in the moment I was like, well, both are authentic, and why can't you accept both of those things? Because we are contradictions and we are confusing, and nothing is like fixed and rigid. So even as I say these things, they're very aligned for me right now and might align with some of you, and others are going to have different opinions. So take what resonates, and you can continue watching, or you can pause here or not come back to it. So next story, and we are going to do some tapping. I had a client this week. It's so magical. So this story is about synchronicities and signs and connection with something, whether it's a loved one, whether it's higher power, whether it's universe, energy, source, whatever you want to call it. And they were struggling with believing. They were like really skeptical of like this spirituality. And it doesn't even necessarily mean it's spiritual. To me, it's just a connection with this greater energy that I believe from our chakras, from the yoga psychology standpoint, that up here is this creative intelligence. So, your third eye and then the crown is this connection with this greater intelligence. And I don't know fully what it is, but it's something and I can't see it, but I feel it and I believe in it and I trust it and it exists in me too because I'm open to it. So, I had an experience when I first started becoming more connected and interested in this stuff where I read a book. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a book on witchcraft because I've always been interested with witches. And I talk about that in other episodes, dressing up as a witch for Halloween, watching all these witchy movies, obsessed with the Ouija board and magic and power. And like, I'm a witch, maybe. So in this book, it said pick a sign. Like pick something that's going to be your sign of your like power of your magic. And so I picked birds. And that day, this was like several years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, 4, 5, it could have been 5. And 2 hours later, I saw this flock of birds. I was talking to someone and all of a sudden, huge flock of birds. And I was like, holy crap. Wow. Okay. Okay. And I get like chills when this happens. And like that year, I think it was 2021, that year, I saw flocks of birds so much. I had a flock of birds literally swarm my car. And I take pictures because I don't think people will believe me otherwise. And that's also why I'm like, therapy is magic. Therapy is not just evidence-based models. Therapy is a safe space to connect with yourself and your therapist. I don't even want to use that word. And what is being co-created between me and these people that I come in contact with is so beautiful. And so I was seeing birds everywhere, taking pictures. I mean, one time these birds in front of me and the symbol that they made, not symbol, like shape, the shape that they made. And I kept these pictures. They're so like so deep for me. And then they just stopped. And then I was like, I don't need them anymore. Okay. Like really cool. So my client was explaining that they picked a symbol for them, not even hearing this story of me. They came in and they were like, I heard in this video about picking a sign. So I just decided to pick a sign, super skeptical. And they picked a heart, but they said like, not just any heart, like it needed to kind of be in a strange form. And they saw some hearts. I'm not going to go detail by detail because we're already 30 minutes in. And they saw like 2 examples of hearts that seem like weak. And they still were like, I don't believe it. Like all this rational ways of saying like, it's just coincidence. That happens for everyone. And so, they're like, why do I not believe? And they're like, Amanda, like what is going on for me? And they're like, they want to believe, but they don't. And one person could say like, oh, that's just coincidence. Don't pay attention to it. But me, I'm like, when you believe in it, that could, whether it's, what's the word? A placebo. Even if it's placebo, if it's like working for you and it's connecting you with you and magic and your true, like authentic self, because this person has said numerous times in session that they have things occur for them that leads them to connect more with this like mysticism. Like you are seeing me as a therapist. And so if you're here with me, like you're going to open yourself up to this stuff and you're going to live a magical life. But I'm not saying that's going to be easy because we also get into the dark. We also get into feeling super uncomfortable. And then you become so much more powerful because you embrace it and you accept it. And then you just keep growing because life is not, I'm broken and I'm sick and I need healing and to be fixed. Life is a path of self-discovery and adventure and scavenger hunts and continual evolving and opening yourself up to more. So they saw a couple of those of the hearts, and I started to explain, how I view it, the importance of if you believe it, you'll probably start to see more of it, and then it will just feel, at least to me, electric to you and fascinating to you. And why not? Like, why not gain more access to your right brain and into really trusting yourself, because that's a part of it. It's like these things on the outside, this evidence of these signs on the outside, for some people who believe in angel numbers and like seeing certain colors, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's that the numbers or the symbols or the colors are like specifically the steps. It's showing you something, and it's coming about through your consciousness and your interpretation. And so if the heart is what you chose because something in you picked that out in your consciousness, like, okay, go with it. If it starts to open you up to trusting yourself and your relationship with this, again, energetic creative intelligence, because it's getting, for me, you into that part of the brain that is more flowy and emotional and artistic and creative. And I fully believe creativity is a pathway to magic, to yourself, to your expression, to creation, to living a life that is beyond the mundane. And that's why I talk about dancing with chaos and chaos and order, because for me, I don't want to live a life that is predictable, even though part of me, my coping, my learned patterns is trying to plan. But that I know is not my soul being. So, my tangents. So I start talking to this client and talking about believing in the signs and sharing a little bit about like my own experience with signs and how I started taking pictures. Started taking all these pictures of birds. I don't even think I said birds. I might have said something else, of that, like whatever symbol it is, take pictures of it. And so I'm talking and they stop me midway through and they're like, Amanda, there's a heart on your shirt. And I look down and I was wearing this shirt. And yeah, we could say, what a coincidence. However, I immediately got chills because I changed my shirt before they came. I don't know why. I decided I like wear yoga clothes. And this shirt I haven't worn all summer. It's a 4th of July shirt. Like that's the only time I rarely have worn it. Occasionally I might wear it to like teach yoga because it's thin and flowy. Haven't worn it all summer. I was already in my clothes for the day, already seen other clients, went in, was like, I want to change my shirt. I want to wear this shirt. So I told myself I needed to change my pants because my pants had a pattern on it and it looked ridiculous to me clashing with this pattern and my pants. So I was so dedicated to wearing the shirt that I changed my pants. And I immediately, like, that's what made it magical. Not that they even saw a heart, but our connection, our co-creation, our being so in flow and present in the moment, because they were sharing from such a vulnerable, expressive place. And I was sharing me. And as therapists, most of the time we're told, don't self-disclose. My experiences should not blur somebody else's. My belief in spirituality, I need to be non-biased and maybe keep that out of it. If you don't resonate with me because you have no belief in anything spiritual or mysticism or magical, then you get to choose. But if I don't open up and share that with people, then we're missing these moments that's the change. That's what changed her. Not me saying, well, maybe try to believe it and maybe take some pictures, because we change through experience. And that was such an in the moment experience. It was that and what happened after that I didn't even find out till today in our Alchemize meeting. Oh, God, it's so beautiful. So I told her, I was like, I changed my clothes. And then I started crying. So here I am like crying in our meeting. And they're like, yeah, now I believe. Okay, universe. I believe. And I'm going to keep myself open to signs and connecting with something beyond my sense of self, because that's there to support you, that you don't need to control everything and that you are safe. What's not safe is what, in my opinion, again, disclaimer, my belief is what humans have done to our planet. When people sometimes say, like, why did this happen? Like, why did World War II happen? Humans. It's our hate. Gaza and like Palestine, Israel. To me, that's not God. That's not universe. That's our hate. Hate, is, in my opinion, is very different than our dark parts. And we have dark parts because of our conditioning. But when we can embrace them and discern what's real and what's true and what's conditioning and what's pattern that you can then integrate into yourself, that's going to feel intense, you'll continually get more wisdom, insights, aha moments, opening up your perspective. Not even necessarily having to take one thing as like more true than something else, but just like, maybe that's true too. Maybe I interpreted this based on my bias, and I can be open to your opinion as well. So, what this client shared that happened after is they left. They left meeting with me. They're driving, and they had something in the backseat of their car that came like undone. However, it was like put together, something broke off. And from the sunlight, created a reflection. I wish I had the picture. Oh, created a reflection on their windshield of a heart. Again, these are not hearts that you would typically see. Like that. It's incredible. It's so incredible. And you have it. If you're listening, you have this magic too. And it's not the magic like a magician. And it's not that we're psychic and can predict the future. It's that we're all connected, and we're also connected to something above us, around us, that can move through you and remind you, affirm for you, assure for you of your wholeness, and that you are okay, and that you're powerful, and you don't need to one-up anyone to do that. We all are. I hope you claim that. So let me know what your signs are. What are your signs? What magic have you experienced? What stories do you have? Okay, next. So I asked my community, or my following, some fun things. So I tend to encourage people to talk to themselves in the mirror or to record themselves speaking like I do here. This is me really talking to me, and then I share it and other people can listen. But I'm making eye contact with myself. I am telling myself through this, Amanda, you are so magical and you are so powerful. And you're human. And you make mistakes. And you might hurt people. People might hurt you. You might have a lot of feelings. You might people please. You might have anxiety. You might do things that create chaos. And you are beautifully magic and safety and presence. And I want that for you. Talk to yourself. Look at yourself. Look at yourself and know that as you speak, it's a different voice than your thoughts. It's different. It's coming through your throat. And you'll start to notice, like, oh, I'm speaking to myself and I'm like, maybe, I don't know, making humor, like not really being serious, because maybe sometimes you use humor to feel better, to ignore the actual feeling. Again, conditioning, trauma, use it, channel it, but understand why. Why do I go to that? And you can ask yourself and let it come out, and you'll feel something. It will occur in your body, and it might be painful, and you have the capacity for it. So I asked the community, if you were talking to yourself in the mirror, what would you say? So I wanted to share a few of them. I only have a few. So here we go. This person said, "Hi, it's an oldie but a goodie. Trust the universe." How more aligned is that? Trust the universe. Trust the universe. And this person said, "You are a beautiful person." Do you believe that when you say that to yourself? Do you believe that you are beautiful? This person said, "No, not me. I'm sure it was important, but ... If you are talking to yourself in the mirror, what are you saying? No, not me. I'm sure it was important, but... So like, are you saying I don't talk to myself in the mirror? Or I don't remember? Maybe I should, but it's not important. Maybe it would help me, but it's not important. I don't really like saying should. Or you're not actually looking at yourself. You're not actually seeing yourself. Not actually listening to yourself. This one said, "I like you, Clarence. Always have, always will." And then this person said, "Why are you so old looking?" And that's where I'm saying, then you respond. I'm going to respond to that person. I'm going to be like, "And what did you say back to that question?" Live the questions and love the questions. The questions can be so much more valuable than the answers. So that comes from a book, Letters to a Poet, I think. Letters to an Old Poet. Letters to a Poet is such a good book. Letters to a Young Poet. Wow. Okay. Okay. Did you catch that? Did you catch that? That person, see, I get teary-eyed because I'm like, these things are so meaningful to me because of connection. That's what it is. It's like I'm so present and connected. And people sometimes will say, you can't connect with people on the internet. Social media is a joke. Social media is a facade. One of my best friends, we met through Instagram. I talk to her every day. We send each other like 50-minute voice messages. And she only lives like an hour and a half away. And we've gotten to meet in person. And we went to the same college and we didn't even know. And we met online. You can make it more authentic and real if you're willing to and you choose for it to. So that person said, why are you so old looking? Old. That's what stood out to me. And that led me to think about the question maybe being more important than the answer. We don't need to know the answer. Why is that question coming about? Be curious about the question. Why are you so old looking? Does it matter whether you look young or old? But then I thought of the live the questions, love the questions from the book, Letters to a Young Poet. Young. Oh my gosh. And then the one I said, the one I shared, the first comment, it's an oldie but a goodie. Trust the universe. Oldie but a goodie. Old. We don't treat our ancestors who are still alive or maybe deceased. Think about those who are deceased. We don't treat them as important, especially here in the US, especially in our society. Those who are still alive, we put them in nursing homes, which are pretty abusive, or they don't get the best treatment. We don't want to take care of them as if we need to take care of them. But in other cultures, and even back generations ago, it was the older people that were looked up to. And what's coming to me now through this is that your greatness might not come about until you are older. I think about Gabor Mate, and I love him, and he has that quote all about your personality being your coping mechanisms and not necessarily who you are authentically are. I mean, he wrote his first books in the 90s. That Scattered Minds book, 90s. It was from the 90s. And it's 30 some years later, and now it's popular. Things take time. Things take time to evolve. And we're rushing. We're like, why isn't it happening for me yet? And oh no, it's not here. So like, I better give up, because we're scared of it not occurring. We're scared of disappointment. We're scared of failure. But Gabor is 70 some years old. And it's not even about popularity. It's just, it took that long for his like wisdom to get out there. And it's so potent. It lands and has helped so many people. It's an oldie but a goodie. Why do you look so old? You may be young at heart, but maybe your old is the magic. And it's not about the question. It's about, why are you asking that question? I mean, it's not about the answer. Sorry. It is about the question. But why are you answering that question? Is old a problem? Have we learned that old is ugly, is bad, is not valuable? Who are you? What may I learn from you in your wisdom, whether or not you look old? I mean, you might be young and look old. It might not even have to do with the age, but that's just what's coming through for me. I don't know how old you are. I don't even know if you'll watch this, but it's just wild. It's just so wild. So, Letters to a Young Poet, check out that book. And we're going to tap. Okay. I didn't bring over a deck. You don't know what deck I want to use. So, I'm going to share my screen. so you can see Rebecca Campbell's instant guidance on her website. So earlier in the Alchemized group, we picked a card from Rebecca Campbell's Starseed deck. And I think I've used that deck before in one of the videos for the theme to tap on. So you get to see it if you're watching. You can use this yourself. How cool. All right, guys, let's see what we get and what we're going to tap on. You all amaze me so much. I'm going to take a picture of this. So earlier in the Alchemized group, and some of my Alchemized people may listen to this, I was telling them how this Rebecca Campbell's deck that I have, the Starseed one, and it was one of the first decks that I got, related to me because I was like, well, maybe I'm a starseed. And a starseed is just like a soul from the stars, from the constellations. There's various constellations. And one of the constellations in the stars is the Pleiadians. And I had said, like, I think I'm from the Pleiadian constellation. This is what I thought 5 years ago. I'm not super wrapped up into it now. But it's just like, okay, of course I picked that. So let's see. Double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. The Pleiadians. When I tell my group, I love this. I hope you have just as much fun as I do. The Pleiadians are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet and sharing new consciousness through creations and technology. They've been incarnating on Earth since near the beginning of humanity. You are a soul who has a double mission to grow at soul level and to raise the vibration of the planet. You have been called to write, speak, or channel this. You have been called to write, speak, or channel. This is your sign to keep doing it. Your work is divinely guided. Of all the souls, Pleiadians are the chattiest. So perhaps you've already started channeling some of this work into the third dimension, and thank you for doing your part in the great plan. Your presence and unique light is needed. I call upon Pleiadian consciousness of the highest realm and highest good of humanity to work through me. Let me be a channel for only the purest light and the essence of source. Let me channel in a way that also serves me. And that's literally what I'm doing. And I am claiming that, reinforcing that, letting it sink in for myself and for all of you. So if that does not resonate with you, pick another. Go to her website and pick an instant guidance card. Instant guidance card. Because why not? What do you got to lose? Let's tap. We're already 50 minutes in. Let's tap. So I'm going to go about and say that even though sometimes I don't believe in my authentic power, I accept myself. Even though sometimes I don't fully connect and believe with my authentic power beyond the scene, beyond what I can see, beyond the evidence, I'm okay. Even though sometimes I fall into anxiety and force and inauthentic power, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. To the eyebrow. The doubt, the side of the eye, the skepticism underneath the eye, in my humanness, underneath the nose. There's so much mystery. There's so much mystery to the chin and so much conditioning to the chest that sometimes it's scary. Sometimes it's scary underneath the arm. Sometimes it's unsafe. Sometimes it's unsafe to the wrist. And these bad things happen because of humans. And these bad things happen because of humans, the top of the head, not the divine or the source or the universe. That's not the divine, the source or the universe, the eyebrow. So it's okay to believe. It's okay to believe to the side of the eye that I've been skeptical, underneath the eye, but I'm opening myself up. Underneath the nose to believe, to the chin, to experience the chest, full sensory experience, the full sensory experience underneath the arm, to be present right now, to the wrist, because I'm a multi-sensory being. To the top of the head, and I feel the eyebrow. It's safe to feel in my body. To the side of the eye, because I trust my body will not overwhelm me. Underneath the eye. I've survived this far. I've survived this far. Underneath the nose, I've done the work. I've done the work. To the chin. And I will keep growing and evolving. I will keep growing and evolving to the chest and seeing all of the fascination and magic and signs and symbols, and seeing all the fascination, the magic and signs and symbol to underneath the arm, that I have a purpose, that I have a purpose, the wrist. And that purpose is to be. That purpose is to be to the top of the head, and trust myself, the eyebrow, to feel energized to the side of the eye, so I can create underneath the eye and live more experiences and live in more experiences underneath the nose that are fully vibrant, the chin, because I'm alive. Chest. I express and I create. Underneath the arm. I believe. I feel. To the top of the head. I speak openly. The eyebrow. To myself, the side of the eye, and to others, underneath the eye. I connect underneath the nose. I release the judgments, the chin, and the harsh inner critic, the chest, and the skepticism underneath the arm, and the doubt, the wrist. And I slow down, top of the head. I don't need instant gratification and evidence. The eyebrow. I make changes on the cellular level. The side of the eye. I breathe underneath the eye. I'm safe underneath the nose. I'm magic. The chin. I have talent and skills and abilities. The chest. I take care of my mental health. Underneath the arm in all these new ways. To the wrist. This is enough. To the top of the head. I am enough. The eyebrow. I speak to myself. The side of the eye. I am beautiful. Underneath the eye. I am full of love. Underneath the nose. I offer and receive. The chin. I slow down. I breathe. Chest. It's safe in this moment. Underneath the arm. I'm present in this moment. The wrist. I radiate this vibrancy, this frequency, the tingle sensation. I radiate this vibrancy, this frequency, this tingle sensation to the top of the head, to integrate it all with light, love, magic, and miracles. All right, totally release. Amazing. So beautiful. Breathe, check in with yourself, take in the tapping. Go back and listen to this again, because I'm sure it will hit differently if you do this again in a couple weeks. Please check out my other videos. Please share. I really, truly am devoted to this spreading, to serve others. Like, comment, subscribe. However it shows up for you. You amaze me. I love you.